Hey team, welcome to the Builders Ladder podcast that the top residential building company owners and general contractors listen to get their business ahead and buy back their time while earning more money. Here's what's in store today.
Get taught how to be a great carpenter and how to build great projects.
Yeah.
But who teaches you how to build a great business?
Most people will avoid is, I've got the lead in, I'll give them a couple of hours or days.
Don't want to look desperate.
I don't want to look desperate, exactly. I'll give them a call tomorrow. So
There's night and day. Like Hayden changed his whole life and his trajectory of his business in 60 days.
yeah.
And we could be 12 months from now with just this.
The Builders Ladder is brought to you by The Professional Builder. Get proven systems and expert coaching to reclaim your time, make more profit, and build a systemized, profitable company that buys back your freedom.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Owen here from The Professional Builder, General Manager, and your host for today's episode because it's exclusively a solo one. I'm sorry. I know what you're thinking. I wish we had Marty. I wish we had Vinny. I wish we had Carla. I wish we had Cole. I wish we had Carla with a C. I wish we had Matt or anybody but this guy. But I'm sorry. Tough shit. You're with me. So today we are covering a really important aspect of your building company, which is dealing with objections. It's the pointy end of the spear. It is exactly where you need to really be well versed or have a bit of a process on how to break things down if you're to crack beyond just signing up projects that are exclusively 100%, I want you as my builder and I don't care how long I have to wait or what it's going to cost me. I want you. We want to be in a position where we can sign up some of the fringe deals where you might not be the cheapest builder. You might not be the only builder bidding, but you're the one that's going to win the contract. How do you do that? Well, it's by mastering the skill and the process around your sales and marketing process, so that you can sign these fringe deals and so that you can overcome and address the objections that pop up at the pointy end of a sales process when you get to contract signing or making a decision on which builder to go with. Extra, read all about it. We've got our 2-day Builder Summit coming up, and if you haven't secured a ticket yet, then I don't know why, because it's going to be the best place to be on Thursday and Friday, the 10th and the 11th, if you're a residential builder looking to go pro. So what are we going to be covering? Well, most things sales and marketing, but we're also going to be covering profitability and cash flow, and finally, systems for on-site and in the office. Now, this is for you if you're a professional builder looking to fill your pipeline 6 to 12 months in advance. In fact, the first almost 35% of the entire workshop is all around sales and marketing, making sure that you got the right systems in place and the right marketing methods for 2025 and beyond. It's tight out there. In fact, consents have decreased by 24% over the last 12 months. So we need to make sure that we're not operating in that bottom 25% of the market, but instead operating that top 25% of the market. What sales process have you got in place? What marketing can you use? What do you think a level 10 looks like? We might be able to expose you to a level 12 because we've got a couple of absolute weapons in our community that will be sharing some of the stuff that's working best for them. So come along to the 2-day workshop. I'll see you there. I'm going to be looking down at my notepad as we go because I'm going to be sketching and drawing. And if you're listening along, then that doesn't matter at all. And if you're watching along, you'll see my notes and you'll see me drawing out a couple of key frameworks and a couple of key scripting sentences that you can use, swipe and deploy. So if you're watching this, then awesome. Leave me a comment in the YouTubes below. And if you're listening to this, then jump over to our YouTube channel. This is one where you might want to follow along and swipe some of the resources. So let's start with what objections even are and what we need to do about them. Because before we get into objections, we really want to kind of unpack the psychology around sales. So all sales is a transfer of conviction. We want the person who is going to make the buying decision to have the confidence that they are making the right decision. And that confidence comes through via a transfer of conviction. And they're going to build that conviction and that confidence either via the person or via the process. Okay. So what usually happens is that the person making the buying decision doesn't have enough confidence that this is the right builder for me, that this is the right, for my situation or anything like that. And if that's the case, then we haven't done a good enough job of transferring confidence to them or conviction to them via your people and via your process. And usually when I say people, I mean the salesperson, which often in most of our cases is the business owner or the sales rep. Okay. So before we go any further, I want us to remember this key sales psychology aspect, which is sales is a transfer of conviction and a transfer of confidence. Without the right person doing the sales or the right process in the sales process, we are unable to transfer that confidence and that conviction. And the person will not have the confidence to make a buying decision. So how do we improve the confidence and how do we transfer that to the prospect? Well, we will start by breaking things down into a process and into a person side of it. There are two sides of this equation, and we can look to improve and train both of them. If we look at improve and training just one of them, then we're going to be in trouble because we might have an absolute gun at sales, the right person, but if they lack any process and they just turn up, have the gift of the gab, and they can talk the ears off an elephant, but there's no process, then as soon as that person goes on holiday, gets hit by the proverbial bus, or maybe you decide to sell the business or step aside, then sales dry up. And we need to find another person with the gift of the gab or somebody who's really good at talking. And that's tricky, honestly. So what we want to do is we want to invest into both the person and the process. So let's start with process now. Okay, so we've spoken about sales and marketing processes until the cows come home on this podcast. I'm not going to dive into absolute specific detail on all of it because honestly, we did a great I think there's a really good interview with us in Biz Video a couple of episodes ago, which breaks down the whole sales process. And there's others in here as well. We talk a lot about making sales easy when marketing does the heavy lifting. And what we mean by that is it means that we're able to have our marketing do the heavy lifting of educating the client on why they should choose you over anybody else. Your marketing will address the 4 questions and the 5 concerns. And then the marketing will be presented in things like a lookbook, a wow pack, your quotas and action plan on your website, in your guarantee, in your how we work with you, in your meet the team, your magic story, your preferred partners and trusted suppliers, in your case studies and in your testimonials. All of these marketing assets must address these 4 questions and these 5 concerns. Who are you? Who's your team? How can I trust you? And how can you help me specifically? All right. Timeline, budget, trustworthiness, quality, and communication are the concerns that people will have when they're looking for a builder. So what we want to do is we want to address these concerns with real specificity in these marketing assets. And the best way for you to do that is to have a very narrow niche. Okay, so you genuinely won't be in a perfect position to address these concerns if you do a little bit of everything. So if you're doing decks, fences, remodels, renovations, extensions, additions, knockdown rebuilds, new homes, house and land packages, design and builds, 2-story duplexes, then you're going to struggle to actually address the concerns of the person that's going to be living in the home while you renovate their kitchen, or the person that's just looking to start an Airbnb in their front garden by dropping a transportable there. You want the narrower the niche, the better the service, and the easier it will be for you to tailor your answers to the 4 questions and the 5 concerns for those people. The better your marketing will therefore be, and that will do the heavy lifting a lot of the sales. So part number 1 of all of this that I want you to examine and explore for yourself is go back and audit your sales process, go back and audit your marketing, all right? And look through the marketing and the sales checklist that we have that will be available for download in the link below, and work out, do I need to start around the process side of it? How can I improve the process for your sales and marketing? By improving this process, you will encounter fewer objections. You will have more of a sales funnel that educates people on why they should choose you over anybody else, and that they will have the confidence and the conviction to choose you over price. There is no silver bullet, remember, there are only lead bullets. So while there is a 10-step sales process, you probably won't find that just one of those steps will be the silver bullet for you. You'll probably need to improve and iterate on all 10 steps as you go. Okay, so part one is process. Let's put a little bow around that. Let's tidy that one away. I want to now move over into the person. So the biggest variable when it comes to sales is not going to be the process, which stays the same every single time, but is going to be the person delivering that process. Just like the biggest variable on site will be the labor. You give me, yourself, and your leading and your first year apprentice and your project manager, all four of us, the same job. We're going to use approximately the same materials, approximately the same subtrades, but vastly different time schedules will come out of that job. Your biggest variable is the person doing the sales. Your biggest variable is the labor on site. So how do we improve the person? Well, first thing is you need to remember that sales is a skill. And just like a skill is a muscle. A muscle can be developed. Whether you think you're bad at sales or you think you're good at sales, you're probably right. How much time and effort you've put into improving the skill translates through to how good you are. So I hear this and I see this pop up a lot when it comes to numbers and pricing. A lot of people will say that they're bad at numbers, they're bad at pricing. The reality is they probably are, but they probably are because they've only ever spent 2, 3, 10, 15 hours learning numbers and pricing. If you've put in 100, 200, 300, 1,000 hours to learn your P&L, to learn your cash flow, to learn your pricing, you're probably going to be a heck of a lot better. And that's what we want to do here with your sales process, is the skill that you want to develop. So first things first, we need to tackle this opportunity in the same way that we would tackle learning the skills required to build exceptional homes. We want to tackle this opportunity and learn the skill that's required to build an exceptional company. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through now a couple of key sales strategies that you can use to handle objections. Now, the first one is preempting objections. So when we preempt objections, we actually are going all the way back through the sales process and we are pressure testing our solution to their potential concern or reservation or objection. Okay, so if their reservation or objection is around, say, timeline, we would say things that preempt that objection, like using pressure testing. Tell me, do you think this timeline would work for you? What about this timeline would make you uneasy? Do you see how you could fit within inside of this timeline? Do you see how my foreman would be able to manage this job? Do you see how my team use this software to keep you up to date? Do you think that these updates weekly would be satisfactory for your project? Would this work for you? All of this pressure testing is preempting an objection, and it gives us an opportunity to address it well in advance of getting to the pointy end where we've asked them if they want to, sign on the line that is dotted and pay a deposit for their project. And we're actually in a position instead to preemptively solve that objection and address it well before we get to that point. So sales strategy number one is the pressure testing. And you should be pressure testing the whole way through the sales process, saying things like I've just said. Are you comfortable with that? Do you see how this would work for you? Do you understand how this process would apply for your project? Things like that. The next part on preempting objections is by being uncomfortable. Let's be real. If you've got good emotional intelligence, good EQ, then you're going to see when people are leaning out. And this is a key reason why we always deliver quotes in person. We want to do our sales face-to-face or on-site or in your office, or at a bare minimum on Zoom if it's a remote close based on a holiday home or something like that, because you want to be able to read the body language of the person. Are they leaning out? Are they off to the side? They've got their arms crossed. Are they side sitting to you? Side sitters cannot be trusted. Let's be real. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to have those ability to identify those cues and be comfortable being uncomfortable. We want to call them out. And we want to say things like, John, it seems like you're not really into this. John, I'm sensing a bit of apprehension or tension. John, I'm concerned that this isn't in alignment with you. Like, have you got things that you want to address? Again, these are things that are going to preempt objections And quite often people avoid the pain and the uncomfortableness of calling people out on visible non-verbal cues because they're uncomfortable with it, where the best salespeople will be comfortable being uncomfortable. Let me say that again. The best salespeople will be those that are comfortable being uncomfortable. And they will ask things like, hey, John, it seems like, you're not really that excited about this stage of the project, or it looks like you've got some concern around that, or John, I sensed that. What is going on here? Like, it doesn't seem like that was the number you were expecting, or that seems like it's given you a bit of a scare there, John. I can almost pop the tension with a needle here in this room. Okay, so you want to be really comfortable being uncomfortable and lean into your ability to read nonverbal cues. Okay. The third part on the preempting objections is you want to approach your sales process from an advisory perspective. Okay, so there is our authority pyramid that we talk a lot about. And at the bottom, there is the generalist. They're the jack of all trades, the master of none. Then there's the specialist. But let's be real, everyone specializes in something nowadays, whether it's new homes, extensions, renovations, architectural builds, whatever. You don't even want to be the specialist. It's not good enough anymore. Instead, you want to be the authority, the trusted advisor, or the celebrity. So the authority chooses, that they are the trusted advisor. And what they're in a position to do is do exactly that. Advise on best ways and best approaches. So the best way for you to preempt objections is to position yourself as the trusted advisor and to make sure that you have a consultative approach to your sales. And this is where you want to use a short list or a long list of a lot of our questions in the sales process and at multiple stages of the sales process to ask questions around, have you considered what door handles you want, or what roofing you need, or do you know the types of insurances or consents that you are going to be required for this job? You want to make sure that you're positioned as the advisor in the sales process the whole way through so that you can preempt these objections and be the person that provides a lot of the answers and a lot of solutions. Okay, so those are the three ways that we can preempt objections. Be the advisor, being comfortable, let me start again. Be the advisor, be comfortable being uncomfortable, and pressure test throughout the entire time. So let's assume that you've gone through the whole sales process and you've really educated throughout. Let's assume that you've been very preemptive on addressing objections before they pop up, but we still get to the very end. We've presented the quote in person. We've sat down with them. We've choreographed our close. They've been on the in your office ideally, and we can do a whole training on or a whole podcast on choreographing the close in your office with all the social proof around. And you now actually still get dealt an objection. Well, first things first, number one, you have to expect them. There's nothing worse than looking like your kitten just got driven over by a car. When they say, I needed to think about it, or, I might just go get another quote, or John, Owen, thank you so much for all that work. Give us a week to think about it, or chuck that one in an email for me. And then it looks like I've just been stabbed in the back. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Number one, you must always expect objections. It's actually a great buyer's sign. It's a sign of curiosity. Okay, so don't be disheartened if you do get questions, and don't mistake an objection for a question or a question for an objection. It's part of the buying process. Okay, so expect them and don't look like somebody's just driven over your kitten. Okay, now the first thing that you must do if you were to get an objection similar to like, let me think about it, or I just don't think the timing's right, or wow, that's a bit more expensive than I thought. The first thing we must do is isolate this. And the best way to do that is to agree that the solution or the build that you've just proposed is the right option. Hey, price aside, hey, timing aside, is this plan that I've just proposed to you the right build for you? Like, do you agree with what we've got here? Or have we got this wrong? Okay. You must agree upon the solution first. The solution must be agreed upon. And that solution is that we've knocked down the wall and extended this, or we've done this design or that consultation or whatever it looks like. Isolate objection by agreeing that the solution is correct. If we don't agree the solution is correct, then we don't have an objection to your proposal. We have the wrong proposal. Okay? So we must start by isolating objection. So price aside, do you think this is the best option? Hey, timing aside, do you think this is the best option? Okay? Once we have done that, if they've said, yes, it is, it's just, then we need to get to the root cause of that. Timing. Financing, decision maker, whatever it might be, we now have an objection that we can isolate and that we can work on solving. And that's where it comes down to negotiation, which is something else entirely. And if you've done a good job up to this point, you should know that these objections are coming and you should be in a consultative approach of being able to solve them. Hey, no worries. Is this a timing thing in your ball in your court or somebody else's? Is this a financing thing that the bank's not signing you off on, or that you're not able to commit to? Do we need to change the scope of work or the budget? Things like this. And we might need to consultatively approach it from there. Because remember, you're not there to finance the job, you're there to build it. And one or two things needs to change if it's going to be a financing thing, either the scope of works or the budget. So let's go back to the very beginning, because this has gone full circle now. A lack of conversion and an objection arises due to a lack of confidence to make the right decisions. And confidence is exactly what a salesperson is there to do. A salesperson is there to transfer confidence and conviction from them and from the company to the prospect and the buyer. Now, you can transfer and improve the transfer of that conviction via people and via process. And that is why we must improve both of them. So here are your three takeaways. Number one, is this a you problem or is this a marketing and sales problem? Is this a person problem or a process problem? And let's be real, sometimes you just suck at sales and you put your hand up. You need to do better, be better, or find somebody better. Okay. So number one, is this a you problem or a marketing and sales problem? Number two, we need to fix your sales and marketing pillars and fix your sales process. Okay. So go and do the sales and marketing audit and work out what your main opportunities are. And three, train yourself. Even if you think you're a weapon and it's not a person problem, train yourself on sales, because the biggest variable always is the humans involved. And therefore, there is always room for us to improve. We're never at a cap. We're always only at a plateau. Okay. So train yourself, looking at books, podcasts, the right community, the right coaching, and the right role plays. Keep your mind out the gutter. I'm talking about getting in front of a mirror and making sure that you're able to role play your scripts and role play handling an objection in front of a mirror. The best way that you get good at this stuff is by reviewing game tape. We don't record our sales meetings though when we present our quotes as action plans. So instead, we must rehearse in front of a mirror. Okay. So there's a list of books, list of recommended readings, a great community here at the Professional Builder of ways that you can work with a coach, work with a community on improving yourself as a sales professional. Otherwise, check out the resources. But here's to you guys, here's to your success, and thank you for following along. Any questions, let us know. See you on the other side. Cheers.
Want to go more in depth on today's topic and buy back more time whilst earning more money? Get a free business health audit and plenty of free resources over on our website, theprofessionalbuilder.com.